There's a lineup of them right there. Hey guys, thought it'd be interesting to look at the whole line of John Deere narrow front row crop tractors, starting with the general purpose tractors like the unstyled A here, from the 30s on up to the 70s. Got them lined up right here. Let's take a look at them. In the 30s, John Deere came out with these general purpose tractors. The John Deere A was a row crop tractor. Tricycle form is what they called it, narrow front. It was a lot better than a team of horses. Rugged, dependable, easy to work on, not much to break on it. The John Deere A, unstyled A, was a very good machine. And they moved to, in the 40s, had the styled John Deere A. All these tractors are still in their work clothes, just like I am. The styled John Deere A's were improved with a little larger engine and a little more horsepower, a little more stylish, as they say, more comfortable. Had electric start on it, no more hand starting by grabbing the flywheel. These were made up through the 40s, into the early 50s, and then they came up with the 60, and then gradually, after that, around 1956, the 620. These were all, this is the kind of the evolution of the John Deere A design, and from the A, the unstyled A, the styled A, to the 60, and then the 620. And the final version of, in the evolution of the John Deere A, would have been the 630, but it was basically the same as the 620 except for more streamlined sheet metal. The 620 was improved over the A with instead of a single barrel carburetor, it had duplex carburation and made a little smoother running engine, a little higher compression, little higher RPMs. The first A, unstyled A, would have had about 24 horsepower at the belt. The styled A's, by the time they were finished, they were getting up there pretty good. 39 horsepower. 620, 48, 49 horsepower on the belt. And then in the new generation, in the 60s, after the decade of the 50s was finished out, they started with the new generation, the 3010, which soon became the 3020. Now, most people would say that the continuation of the size range from the 620 or 630 should have been a 2010, but I think it was kind of in between there. So we have a 3020, and that in the decade of the 60s would have been a good tractor to have. A lot of farms had it as their largest tractor. They really did. And you could get wide fronts on the 620, but the vast majority of them were still narrow fronts. The 3020s, I'm sure there were many wide fronts made, but you could still see plenty of the narrow fronts. And as we moved into the decade of the 70s, in 73 they came out with the 30 series. This 4030s was not to replace the 4020s, but more to replace the 3020. But a lot of people would replace a 4010 with a 4030, and it would do the job nicely. It had a smaller engine in the 4010 and 4020s, but it ran well and did the job excellently. This is one of the few narrow front 4030s that you'll see. Most of them did come with a wide front. You could get a 4030, a 4230, and a 4430 with a narrow front at that time. I believe this was the last series, the 30 series, that you could get them. Some people have converted over some of the 40 series. I'm not sure if you could get them on the 4040s. I've gotten conflicting information on that. I really have. But so 4040 was basically a 4230, and all they changed was the number. So as far as I'm concerned. But anyhow, thought that makes a nice little comparison to follow the evolution of the unstyled A on up through the series of the A's right there, the evolution of the A. And then we have the new generation with the 3020 and this 4030. Each one kind of was one step in getting more refined, more productive, with basically similar size tractor. Each one of these tractors back in those days could be the biggest tractor on the farm. A lot of people had bigger tractors, but there were many farms where these were the largest tractors. We didn't even have something that big. We had a 520. That was the biggest tractor on our farm for years. So just thought that made an interesting comparison going down the line of narrow front row crop tractors through the different decades, from the 30s to the 70s. Yep. Hope you enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed doing it. Hey, now let's see how fellows back in that era reacted to these tractors. First one we'll look at is the old John Deere A. Old unstyled A. They had back in the 30s. Big step up from a team of horses. Just grab the flywheel, crank it over. Well, open the petcocks first to relieve some compression. Spin over the flywheel and you're ready to roll. It was a great increase in productivity from farming with horses. This thing could work longer and harder, and you don't have to feed it when it's sitting in the barn. Only got to feed him while he's working. And it's cheap fuel too, that old distillate. Penny or two a gallon. Don't cost much. Works out real good for me. Your style day is real nice. Electric start. Ain't got to grab hold of that flywheel and spin her over no more. Yes sir, this here one runs on gas. All the time. Plenty of horsepower. Pull you through them tough spots, you know. Yeah sir. Just can't beat it. What'll they come up with next? Man, when we moved into the mid-50s and they come up with this here 620, whew, I thought the A was a big jump over the unstyled A, but this one takes the cake. Smooth running, live power takeoff, mind you, the hydraulics. It's unreal what this thing has. You got your power steering, got your power troll, 3-point hitch. You got your outlets right there. PTO's right there. Live PTO. Just push in that pedal over there by the hand clutch, and you got your PTO in gear. When you stop your tractor, the PTO, you keep on going. Yes, sir. Sure is an advancement. Much appreciated by us farmers. Man, I thought when they come over with that 620, they were on to something. And they were. It was a good tractor. Still is. I ain't getting rid of it. I ain't going to have to give it up. But this new generation of power they come out with in the 60s. This 3020 we got. Man, it's a diesel. That thing's got plenty of power to lug you right on through. Unbelievable. Electric start diesel. Whew. Smooth power. Variable speed engine. I can't imagine tractors can get much more advanced than that. This is the ultimate in tractor technology right here. Unbelievable. If you thought Generation 1, the new generation, was something, you ain't seen nothing yet. Generation 2, the 30 series, is something else. You got not only your standard single range 8-speed transmission, but you can get a power shift, but I really like that quad range, which is an 8-speed transmission with a high-low in each gear. That's really something there. I really like that. These tractors are unbelievable comfort and dependability. Real improvements have been made over the years. Hard to believe it started out with the humble beginnings of a unstyled John Deere A up to this, your 40-30 narrow front. The power and dependability of these engines John Deere has is unmatched in the industry. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They've really done something here. They've really got it. I don't believe there'll ever be any improvements made in the future over this series of tractors. There goes a fella making all kinds of noise. Running up down the road in his fancy 4430. And he don't even stop in here to say hi. Here he comes. I don't know who that is. Maybe that's Stevie, I don't know. Couldn't be.